You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here, right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review Friday Night SmackDown and AEW Rampage from February 25th, 2022. Of course, we had the contract signing for the it's official now, it's a unification match at WrestleMania between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania Night 2, or I should say WrestleMania Sunday. We got Orange Cassidy facing off against Anthony Bowens on the Rampage side of things in a qualifying match for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Sammy Guevara defends the TNT Championship against Andrade El Idolo, in which it was a very good opening match on Rampage, I will say. But overall thoughts on both shows, I honestly thought that Rampage, as always, for most weeks I should say, was definitely the better show of the two. SmackDown was just not good in my opinion. The only things that were interesting in the entire show was the whole Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns contract signing. Like, everything else on the show, in my opinion, kind of fell flat. You had Ronda Rousey not being genuine at all in her promo, and I'll get to that later on in the SmackDown review. But really, the matches that were on the show, we had a rematch of Mania running wild again. Not only that, it was just not interesting whatsoever. Really, again, the only thing that really interests me was Lesnar and Reigns. And I don't want to say it's getting old, but it's Brock Lesnar we're talking about. A lot of people are angry because of the fact that this is a unification match, and I will tell you guys why I'm actually in favor of this actually being a unification match, because to me, it makes perfect sense. It makes absolutely perfect sense, and I don't know why everybody is angry. But before I get on to the review, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast, in which I discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Please like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. All right, we're going to get on with the SmackDown review. We're going to start off with SmackDown. SmackDown started off with Ronda Rousey, or I should say Michael Cole is in the ring. Of course, Pat McAfee is back. Of course, last week SmackDown was a tape show because of the fact that the roster was in Saudi Arabia getting ready for Elimination Chamber. But this week, of course, SmackDown is back live, and we have Michael Cole in the center of the ring. Pat McAfee is back on commentary. Thank God. It was awesome. I'm a big fan of Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is literally one of the best things right now on WWE television, and he literally gives the commentary team an identity. I think Michael Cole, in my opinion, has even gotten better because of Pat McAfee. But Michael Cole's in the center of the ring. He introduces Ronda Rousey. Of course, Ronda Rousey is the winner of the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble match, and she will be facing Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship in the main event officially of night one of WrestleMania 38 in Dallas, Texas at AT&T Stadium. So she's asked why she decided to return, and I'm gonna say everything that Ronda stated in her promo, and I'm gonna tell you guys why I wasn't in favor of this promo. I'm gonna tell you guys this why, and it's not because of the things she said. It's because of her genuine emotion in the entire promo. Ronda Rousey is the babyface, but to me, it comes off as she's just, and I've stated this earlier, and a lot of other guys have stated this as well. It comes off as she just doesn't want to be there, and I'll tell you guys that. I'll talk about that later on, but in the meantime, I'm going to be talking about the promo. She's asked why she decided to return. Ronda says she broke her hand after WrestleMania 35, of course, in the very first main event, the women's main event, I should say, which I attended, by the way, in which we saw Becky Lynch become Becky Two Belts. Then, after recuperating, she broke her other hand. Then she became a mother, and then she said she would punch her ticket to WrestleMania. She talks about her mother motivating her, and says that she wants to set the same example for her daughter like her mother set her. Then Ronda says she doesn't focus on the past. She will make Charlotte tap out at WrestleMania. And then Charlotte Flair comes out, and what happens after that? She says last Saturday she gave her a taste of Welcome Back, and it was so much fun. And she actually showed her mercy at the Elimination Chamber. She won't show her mercy at WrestleMania. and says that she will put her in the figure 8 and she will scream for mercy and make her tap out. Then she will go back home and work on baby number 2. And then Sonya Deville from behind attacks her, and then Charlotte then comes into the fray and then basically slides Ronda outside of the ring and then drives her leg to the ring post. And that's the opening segment for SmackDown. Overall, I did not care about this segment whatsoever. To me, I genuinely believe that Ronda Rousey just did not care about the promo that she cut. The reason why I say that is because, again, if you listen to her speak, Ronda Rousey, to me, again, it looks like she doesn't care. To me, that's what it seems like. Because when you listen to her speak, Ronda Rousey is talking about, I decided to return. I'm going to give you guys an example of what I mean. So she is asked why she decided to return, right? And then Ronda just casually says, well, yeah, I want to punch my ticket to WrestleMania. Like, she doesn't show true emotion in her promo. And I'm kind of scratching my head watching the promo. I'm like, this is Ronda Rousey we're talking about. And she's giving us this magnitude of a promo. Now, granted, the crowd, which was the crowd was a legit sellout. The arena was a legit sellout, and I will give them that. And the crowd were going crazy for Ronda Rousey, but at the same time, Ronda Rousey's promo was just not that good. It wasn't that good, and this was something I always talked about when it came to Ronda Rousey. Even back in her first run in the WWE a couple of years ago, I always viewed Ronda Rousey as a fantastic in-ring performer. I thought she transitioned well from MMA to pro wrestling, but her promo skills were just not that good whatsoever. I'm sorry, that's just me being honest. I was not really as invested in her promos as, possibly other people were. But again, this promo by Ronda Rousey, she really did not show true emotion whatsoever. And Ronda Rousey is supposed to be the babyface in this scenario, and to me, it just seems that like she doesn't care. Now, granted, a couple of weeks prior, before the Elimination Chamber, she started to pick it up well when it came to her promos. She started to show true emotion, but then she went right back to square one this week. I thought, like, to be quite honest with you, I'm not really as invested in Ronda Rousey when it comes to her promos. And does this make me excited for the main event of WrestleMania Night 1 with Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair? No, I thought the rightful match to happen should have been Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, but most likely they're going to be doing that next year. But as always, every year during WrestleMania season, WWE does everything ass backwards. So, that was my thoughts on the opening segment. Adam Pearce is backstage with Sonya Deville, and he says, that next week she will go one-on-one with Ronda Rousey. So we got Ronda Rousey performing on television on Fox against Sonya Deville. I'll be interested. I'll watch that match. But again, does it really make me interested in this WrestleMania match between Charlotte and Ronda? That's a cold hard no. I'm not really as invested in that match. We got the New Day versus Los Lotharios, that being Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. We've seen this match like twice already, so I don't know why we're seeing this match again. Now, granted, this match wasn't bad whatsoever. I actually got a kick of this match, but again, how many times have we have to see this match? I mean, we've seen it like twice already. So what is the reason why I have to see this match again? And this is one of the problems with modern day WWE television. You see the same shit over and over again. You just see the same thing over and over again. Bro, we would get scenarios, right, where we have two tag teams feuding, and then they would feud on television. And then you have one member of each team wrestle on a random Raw or SmackDown. And then the next week, the other two members of the teams wrestle each other. Or, for example, I'm going to take two tag teams, RK Bro and Alpha Academy. One week we got Riddle versus Otis. And then next week we got Riddle versus Chad Gable. And then the next week we got Randy Orton versus Otis. And then the next week we got Randy Orton versus Otis or Chad Gable, whatever. Like, it's repetitive. To me, that formula doesn't work. And then we have other times in which we have, two tag teams just wrestling each other for like 10 straight weeks. Like, I have previous notes. I keep my notes for the wrestling shows. I always keep my notes online. And the amount of times I've seen rematches every week is insane. And Raw had this problem, and they still have this problem. But SmackDown is getting worse. SmackDown is starting to have this problem, like, really bad. And I always point out the catchphrase, Rematchamania is running wild. And in this case, Rematchamania is damn near running wild because, we got rematches on this show. Hashtag Rematchamania. So we got the New Day versus Los Lotharios. Again, this wasn't a bad match, but there's no point of me in caring. We got Kofi and Humberto starting the match. Both lock up. We got a splash by Kofi. We got a cover and a near fall. Biggie then tags in. We get a double team attempt by the New Day. Then we get a cover by Biggie and we get a near fall. He applies the abdominal stretch, but then Humberto fights back. Then we get a couple of shots to the back of Humberto by Biggie. Kofi then tags in. We get a leg drop by Kofi, jumping over Biggie. We get a cover and a near fall. He then goes to the apron after that. Kofi goes for the Gamagiri. Then Humberto takes him out when Kofi gets distracted by Angel Garza. Then Garza tags in. Los Lotharios then takes out Biggie, and then he goes to the outside and drives Kofi onto the apron. Oh, and by the way, the New Day came out with an ATV. Then once we're back from commercial break, Los Lotharios are the ones in control. Kofi is upside down in the corner. We get a drop kick by Humberto. We get a cover and a near fall. Humberto continues on to work on Kofi Kingston after that. Garza tags in. Both roll and plant Kofi to the mat, that being both Angel Garza and Humberto. We get a single leg Boston Crab. I believe it was by Garza. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Garza was the legal man at this point. Kofi then escapes. We get a double stomp by Kofi and plants Garza to the mat. At this point, the hot tag is made. We get multiple belly to belly suplexes by Big E. He goes for the splash. We got a super kick by Humberto on Big E. Garza then is the legal man, but runs into a Uranagi by Big E into the corner. Kofi then tags in. He plants Garza to the mat. We get a drop kick by Kofi. Then Kofi tries to go for the SOS, but then Garza escapes. At this point, Garza is on the outside. Garza then goes for the suicide dive. Garza then looks at the ATV, but then Kofi later on takes out Garza. And then Big E goes for the belly-to-belly suplex on Humberto on the outside. Kofi is on the top. We get Garza then drops on, I think he hits a kick, I think it was. We get a cover engineer fall. Garza then goes to the top. We get a knee by Kofi. Big E then tags in. We get the Midnight Hour by the New Day, and then we get a cover, and the New Day win the match. Again, this was not a bad match whatsoever, but again, there's no point of me caring considering the fact that we've seen this match twice already on television. So what is the point? Unless they don't have anything for these two teams, then really I just do not care whatsoever. And this is a common occurrence on WWE television, and if you guys watch my reviews, you guys know what I'm talking about. I constantly state this. I constantly state this every week. It's getting frustrating, and it's been frustrating, but still, it makes no sense that you have nothing for these tag teams. So you're like, oh, okay, so let's just book these guys in a rematch. I can remember times on previous episodes of Raw or SmackDown that I literally felt like I was watching the show from the previous week. I genuinely felt that. I didn't feel that in this match, but in some cases on other shows, I really did feel that way. We get a video package on Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs with the Toyota Tundra. Of course, Toyota, I believe they're sponsored by Toyota. The New Day are backstage with Sheamus and Rich Holland. Sheamus and Rich Holland threaten them, and then the New Day just run off with their ATV. Sam Roberts. Surprisingly, Sam Roberts is actually backstage, and he's interviewing the Usos. The Usos talk about the contract signing between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. And then they talk about the Viking Raiders, of course, what happened at Elimination Chamber. Originally, it was supposed to be the Viking Raiders versus the Usos for the SmackDown tag titles, but the Usos attacked them, and the match got canceled. It was kind of a dumb way to cancel a match. Just because, we've seen so many scenarios in wrestling where you had, the opponent attack, the heel attack the babyface while the babyface was making his entrance. You never would have seen, a match be canceled. In this case, the match got canceled. I'm like, what the hell? Makes absolutely no sense. But the Viking Raiders attack the Usos after that, and they just are yelling that they want a rematch. We get a backstage interview with Xia Li. She talks about working so hard to get her first match on SmackDown and says Natalya won't need protection. We get Xia Li versus Natalya in another match that I just do not care whatsoever. One thing I will state, and this has nothing to do with the match, it's just a nitpick that it's something that drives me crazy when I watch this show, and when I also watch Raw as well. These CGI entrances, man, are the worst. And I am a freak when it comes to set designs. I genuinely believe that wrestling should bring back, the unique stages for any type of wrestling event, bring back those theme sets. But this has nothing to do with sets. I can't believe I'm talking about this. This really shouldn't be talked about, but I'm bringing it up anyway. Look, nothing against Xia Li, but it's not just her. It's every wrestler. It's every single wrestler when they do their entrance, and it's not the wrestler's fault. It's the WWE's fault. These CGI entrances are pure cringe, man. If you want to know a reason why nobody watches wrestling, show them this Xia Li entrance, man. To me, and this is nothing on Xia Li. I think Xia Li is amazing in the ring. I just do not like the fact that they have to over exaggerate this freaking CGI crap. Stop with this BS, man. It drives me crazy. And, if you showed a fan that used to watch back in the day, you showed them these types of entrances now, they laugh right in my face or in your face if you're showing them. Because, they didn't grow up on this shit. They didn't grow up on this at all. They saw badassery when they grew up, right? And now, the current generation, we don't see badassery anymore, especially on WWE television. We see badassery on AEW television, and that call me a mark, whatever, but I'm just saying, at least AEW doesn't do these crappy garbage CGI entrances. My God, with Roman Reigns' entrance, bro, there's a whole CGI of Roman Reigns entire body that just, it's so cringe, man. Just stop with these entrances. It drives me crazy. But we get Xia Li versus Natalya. They keep on building up, I don't want to say build up, but they keep telling the viewer about, Natalya's Guinness World Record. That means anything. It really does not mean anything. Both lock up. Natalya then takes down Xia Li, goes after her in the corner. She sends Lee to the corner, then to the other corner, but then Lee goes to the second rope. We get a drop kick by Lee. We get a cover and a near fall. Then Natalya goes for the discus clothesline. We get a cover by Natalya and a 1 count. Natalya goes for the snap suplex. She goes after Xia Li, and then she applies the abdominal stretch on Xia Li. Lee fights back. We get a couple of knees by Xia. Then we get a couple of elbows. She hits a suplex. We get a cover into near fall. Natalya then tries to go for the sharpshooter, but then Xia Li escapes. Xia goes for a beautiful spinning heel kick, and I will say that was a really beautiful spinning heel kick. That was a really nice move. Spinning heel kicks are always great, but I don't know why. Something about Xia Li when she hits the spinning heel kick, it just looks it looks so awesome when she does it. We get a cover, and Xia Li wins the match. Great. One thing I will say and this is another issue, she got drafted to SmackDown back in October. It's almost March, and she's wrestling her first match on SmackDown. Talk about laziness. Here's another thing that really angered a lot of fans, and, it angered me as well, and I'll talk about it. Sami Zayn, his Intercontinental Championship celebration. Of course, Sami Zayn beat Shinsuke Nakamura for the IC title last week. And the IC title is not an important title. It's not as important as what it used to be. And that will definitely play into a factor, definitely after I talk about what happened in this segment. He talks about how he finally has justice. He cuts a promo on how, he was a victim of this whole conspiracy theory and all this crap. He talks about how, they will always persecute him, and no matter what they throw at him, he will always overcome it. He's happy to give Shinsuke Nakamura a rematch, but he is still injured. He is not available, and he challenges anyone to step up to the ring against Sami Zayn. And who the hell comes out? Johnny Knoxville. Yes, Jackass's Johnny Knoxville comes out again. Zayn asks him, what is he doing here? And then Johnny tells Sammy that, since he came in at his premiere, he crashed his premiere, he decided to crash his party. Johnny accepts the challenge, and then Sammy says that he doesn't belong in the same ring as him. And then Johnny says that he has no balls. Sammy then goes for Johnny and attacks him, and then Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville for the Intercontinental Championship is official for WrestleMania. And talk about desperate for attention. And that's not on Johnny Knoxville. That's on WWE as a whole. Now, granted, when it comes to mainstream appeal, WWE, they're masters at that. But in some cases, it's kind of laughable when they try to do this type of stuff. Nothing against Johnny Knoxville. I love Johnny Knoxville. I love Jackass. But having Johnny Knoxville, right, wrestle against Sami Zayn, a non-wrestler, challenging for their mid-card title, the IC title, a title that was held by guys like Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Ricky Steamboat, Macho King Randy Savage, or Macho Man, whatever you want to call him. Macho Man Randy Savage, Macho King Randy Savage, both the same. Randy Orton, Triple H, Steve Austin, The Rock. And then you have guys like Johnny Knoxville just challenges Sami Zayn for the title. And this is one thing I want to bring up. AEW, the TNT Championship, no matter what anybody says, any AEW shill or mark on Twitter will say otherwise, but the TNT Championship is their mid-card championship. You know, guys like Cody or anybody else would say, oh, it's not a mid-card championship because we don't like the word mid-card. No, it's your mid-card championship, but it always will be your mid-card. It always will be your mid-card championship. It's your mid-card championship. But at least that title has some importance. This title has the Intercontinental title has absolutely no importance whatsoever. Period. It just doesn't. It doesn't have any importance whatsoever. And this proves it because of the fact you got guys like Johnny Knoxville challenging for the belt. It makes absolutely no sense. I don't know what creative is thinking. I mean, these ideas are ridiculous. I mean, really? The best IC title match that you can come up with is Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. Why not put a freaking ladder match at WrestleMania for the IC title? Make things interesting, for fuck's sakes. Make things interesting, but of course, WWE's making $1 billion, so they don't care. I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, you got guys like Johnny Knoxville challenging for the title. I mean, like, why? Why? And I like Johnny Knoxville, but like, what is the point of this? There's no point of this whatsoever. It's just dumb. It's dumb and stupid. It's really stupid. We got Shotzi Blackheart versus Sasha Banks. Naomi's on commentary. Sasha goes for the Three Amigos, but Shotzi then counters. Shotzi then is in control. She goes for repeated stomps. We get a cover into near fall. We get a senton by Shotzi. We get a cover into near fall. Shotzi then picks up Sasha, but then Sasha counters into a roll-up, but we get a near fall. Sasha then hits the Meteora, then goes for a DDT. Then she goes for a backstabber. Well, I shouldn't say backstabber, but it was a backstabber. It was a reverse backstabber in which, you know, Shotzi landed face first by Sasha. And then she goes for the actual backstabber. Then Sasha goes for the Banks statement. Sasha Banks wins the match. Naomi comes in, cuts a promo, and says that they're looking to be the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Okay. First off, I mean, I completely forgot that there were women's tag titles because of the fact that I haven't seen them on television. Not only that, I mean, there's no real women's tag team, so why should I care about the women's tag team championships if there are no actual women's tag teams? And I'm not talking about makeshift tag teams that you just put two random singles wrestlers together to make a tag team. No, I'm talking about actual tag teams. Are there actual tag teams in the women's division? No, there isn't. If you want me to care about the women's tag team championships, you need to have actual women's tag teams. And the men's tag division has that problem as well. There's a lot of makeshift tag teams that I just do not care about, in which the entire division is just lackluster. WWE, you know, when it comes to their tag team division, they don't care about tag team wrestling. If you want to watch true tag team wrestling, go watch Wednesday and Friday on TNT and TBS. That's all I gotta say. Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. I don't even want to talk about this match because the feud is such a joke. We got a thumb in the eye by Moss. Moss goes for a DDT. We get a cover into near fall. Moss runs into a Claymore out of nowhere, and then Drew McIntyre wins the match. All right, great. Oh, yeah, and I almost forgot. We got Drew McIntyre versus Baron Corbin at WrestleMania, so another throwaway match on the card of WrestleMania. Ronda Rousey, we get a backstage interview. She says that she's going to show everyone what happens when an authority figure steps out of line. Again, you know, it's a promo that sounds so casual. She doesn't have that emotion in that promo, and I don't know what to tell you. She just did not have that emotion whatsoever. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 38 contract signing. Overall, this was by far the best thing of the entire show. Probably the best thing and the most interesting thing of the entire show. Everything else on the show was just pure garbage. Overall, you know, I've seen this on Twitter recently, and everybody is angry of the fact that there's a unification match at WrestleMania. There's some people on social media that didn't even realize that this was a unification match because of the fact that last week at the Elimination Chamber, they stated that it was going to be champion versus champion. And I had to ask those people, I mean, I don't want to be that type of person, but they sound extremely stupid when they say that. The reason why I say that is because, number one, Brock won the Rumble match, so that guarantees him a title match anyway. Brock won the WWE title, in which, granted, the circumstances were kind of weird. I mean, the way that it all played out, as much as I like Brock Lesnar, look, I definitely predicted this, but I would have had it be a scenario in which he would have won a qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber and then win it at night one. But due to the circumstances, of course, Lashley is injured. But still, I mean, the fact that you're complaining that there's a unification match at WrestleMania is absolutely ridiculous. Look, yes, is this match absolutely predictable? Yes, the majority of WrestleMania is absolutely predictable. But the fact that you're complaining about the fact that this is a unification match is ridiculous. You know, it's in fact, this is actually the right thing to do. A unification match is the right thing to do. Not only that, I mean, they should just end the brand split entirely. Have Raw and SmackDown be with the same wrestlers and all that stuff. Yes, I know Fox and NBC Universal do not like sharing wrestlers for whatever reason. And I think that's really stupid because, I mean, you both have TV contracts with the WWE, so why don't you just share, guys? You get the best of both worlds, right? I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. It's petty by the networks. But still, I mean, just merge the rosters. This whole brand split in 2022 is a complete joke. It's not real. It's not a real roster split. Yes, they're legit, touring brand. They're legit separate touring brands, but really, what makes Raw and SmackDown different in 2022? I'll give you the answer. There's nothing that makes them different. They have the same formula when it comes to booking. They have constant rematch. It's the same show every week, just with different wrestlers and different colors. That's it. There's nothing different about the shows, period. But, yeah, I think a unification match is the perfect thing for Roman Reigns. Now, when it comes to this match with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, I'm not even going to talk about the match because really, this really goes only for Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, nobody on the WWE roster right now, nobody on the roster is at the level of a Roman Reigns. And it's WWE's job to literally make somebody fast because Roman Reigns can't be the champion for a long time. Now, granted, I'm enjoying his title run. It's by far the best thing on WWE TV. But again, you need to find someone on the same level as Roman Reigns, man. Who the hell is going to dethrone him? Who the hell are you going to book to dethrone him? Absolutely nobody. Absolutely no. Right now. I mean, you need to make somebody credible to actually dethrone Roman Reigns. And WWE does not have that because of the fact that they have an inability to make new stars. And that is a major issue in my opinion. You need to get that guy that can get that mainstream appeal like a Roman Reigns, in my opinion. And WWE does not have that. They have to rely on guys like Goldberg to come back. Oh, hey, Goldberg, come back and wrestle with Roman Reigns. At this point, you're gonna run out of legends if you keep on doing that. You gotta make a guy, and after WrestleMania, they have to start building this new guy from scratch. They gotta get somebody over, like really over. And WWE is not doing that. But back to the contract signing. Roman Reigns is in the ring, and he asks Hershey, Pennsylvania, to acknowledge him. Heyman says that they have come to a point in history to exaggerate the enormity of this year's WrestleMania. We are facing the biggest main event in Mania history. It's bigger than Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. It's bigger than Austin versus Rock. And it's bigger than Lesnar conquering the Undertaker's streak, in which Paul Heyman takes credit for, and says that he will give Lesnar actually half the credit for that. WrestleMania will be celebrated with Roman Reigns solidifying his GOAT status against Brock Lesnar, winning both titles in the unification match. And now we get down to business at hand. It says the security guards are in the ring to protect Brock Lesnar from his own impulsiveness and to protect Brock Lesnar from your tribal chief, Roman Reigns. And that's what you call a cliffhanger, and then we immediately go to commercial break. After that, once we're back from break, Brock Lesnar comes out. He calls Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman Mr. Acknowledgement and Mr. Dick. That's what Brock Lesnar called Roman Reigns, which was hilarious. He allowed him to introduce himself as your reigning, defending, undisputed world champion, blah, 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 your typical Brock Lesnar thing, in which I will say, man, I'm enjoying, again, and I constantly say this for the past couple of weeks, I'm enjoying babyface Brock Lesnar. I think it's awesome. It's just so unique. It's really awesome. He says that he will contain himself a little bit, but he says that he is very impulsive. If he thinks for 1 second that these security guards are going to stop him from kicking Roman's ass and Paul's ass, you got another thing coming. Says that signing this contract, he can kick his ass and Paul's ass at WrestleMania. And he's going to get paid for it. That's classic Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar then signs the contract. He throws the contract to Roman Reigns. Paul then says he wants to make this personal, right? And he says the match isn't going to be a unification because he's going to lose the title next Saturday in Madison Square Garden. Of course, the reason why WWE on Raw this past Monday and tonight on SmackDown, the reason why they're mentioning Madison Square Garden, which is a house show, it's not a televised show, it's a house show. The reason why they're mentioning Madison Square Garden is because of the fact, and they rarely mention live events on television. They rarely do that. Like, very few times they would do that. The reason why they're mentioning the Madison Square Garden house show is because of the fact that that show is actually struggling to sell tickets. So they're trying to sell whatever they're going to do at Madison Square Garden on television, which I definitely see why they're doing that. But I stated this on my Raw review. It is a scenario in which AEW, in my opinion, and it's proven that they have overtaken the WWE in the New York market. If you have seen Grand Slam, which was a sellout, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Grand Slam was an awesome show, and they're definitely returning to New York. Not only that, they outsold WWE in Long Island at the UBS Arena. So, I mean, you know, WWE right now are struggling to sell tickets, and that's very well due because of the fact that AEW has outsold WWE in ticket sales in the New York market. That's just my opinion. And it's definitely true. It's definitely true. And the reason why they're mentioning it on television is because they're trying to sell tickets. And I do not blame them for that. I do not blame them for that. But Brock, you know, after that, he says Roman then signs the contract, and then he throws the contract to Roman Reigns. Roman then signs the contract. Reigns says that he must be confused, farm boy. Says that WWE Championship that Brock Lesnar has is his title. Says he's going to smash him at WrestleMania, and it's not his fault. It's, you know, Brock is standing in his ring. You know, that is his cameraman. These are my people. These are my commentators. Everybody works for me. So Roman Reigns just goes ballistic. And I'm not going to lie, this was actually pretty awesome. I liked that emotion that Roman Reigns showed. So after that, Lesnar gets pissed. He beats up everybody in security. He F5s the security guard, goes for Suplex City on the security guards, and then the match is officially set. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 38, night 2, for both the WWE and the Universal title. It's going to be a unification match, which is the right decision to make. And yeah, that's that. Overall, again, this was the only good thing in the entire show, in my view. Really, the entire show was kind of a dud. And not only that, I just felt like, you know, again, you know, the constant formula that the WWE goes by when it comes to their shows is flat out ridiculous. I mean, they really need to do something different when it comes to their television shows. But are they going to do that? No. But I will say this segment was not bad whatsoever. All right, before I get on with the Rampage review, I just want to let you guys know that please like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Please like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Broken Havoc 0305 on Twitter, and on Instagram, Broken Havoc _0305. So follow those and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, and also push that bell for notifications right here on the channel. All right, we're going to get on with AEW Rampage. Rampage, of course, came to us. It was a taped episode of Rampage, as it is for most weeks. Rampage, of course, February 25th, 2022. Overall thoughts on this show: I really enjoyed Rampage. I thought it was a good show. The matches that were on the show were really good as well. We got basically almost everything on the show, definitely. We had a contract signing for Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa at Revolution. The Revolution pay-per-view, March 6th, is possibly, right now, in my view, going to be the best pay-per-view of 2022 so far. So far, I mean, Revolution right now is looking stacked. I mean, we got Adam Cole versus Hangman Page for the AEW World Championship. We most likely will be getting a triple threat match between Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Andrade El Idolo. Then after that, we got Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho, CM Punk versus MJF in a dog collar match. I mean, we got Red Dragon challenging the Jurassic Express, and of course, we got another tag team. Of course, we got the Casino Battle Royale next week on Dynamite. So Revolution is looking to be a crazy-ass card, and it's going to be an awesome-ass show. I'm definitely excited to see what happens at Revolution. And again, I mean, Rampage, in my opinion, was not a bad show, and it definitely got me a little more excited for Revolution. One thing I will talk about before I get on with the show is Tony Khan's announcement. Now, of course, this is something that we are all curious about. Tony Khan has stated that this big announcement that he's making. He stated this right before Dynamite. He stated that this big announcement that he's going to be making is as big as the First Dance. Of course, the First Dance was the show where AEW sold out the United Center, in which CM Punk made his AEW debut. Again, what he's going to officially he's going to be making this announcement next Wednesday on Dynamite. So if you guys are really excited for this announcement, definitely check out Dynamite next week, because Dynamite is looking to be a great show. Of course, it's the go-home show before Revolution. But yeah, man, again, there's a lot of different scenarios in which what can be this big announcement. A lot of people are stating it's going to be a super show between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And if that is the case, that is going to be awesome. Again, I do not watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, but I know a couple of the wrestlers there. And I think it'd be big. It'd be awesome for the wrestling business as well. But really, my assumption in what this big announcement is going to be, I definitely do see it as a streaming deal. A lot of people are saying that, AEW possibly purchased Ring of Honor. And if that is the case, that is huge for AEW. And it also justifies the fact that they're definitely looking at streaming networks. Definitely 100%, if AEW does go to a streaming service, it's 100% going to be HBO Max. And the reason why I say that is because of the fact that HBO Max right now is the streaming service of Warner Media. And I think putting AEW on there is not a bad idea whatsoever. Put the pay-per-views on HBO Max. But that is what I think that big announcement is going to be. But we'll have to wait and see, man. I mean, this big announcement is going to be huge. Rampage kicks off with the TNT Championship match between Andrade El Idolo going up against Sammy Guevara. This was a really good opener for Rampage. I mean, Andrade El Idolo looks great. Of course, one thing I will say, of course, Andrade is definitely, right now in the TNT Championship title picture. Of course, he's wrestling for the TNT Championship. But I definitely do see a triple threat match between Darby, Sammy, and Andrade at Revolution. 100%. But I'm gonna get on with the match. We got a double leg takedown by Sammy. Both exchange shots. We get an overhand chop by Andrade on Sammy. Sammy then goes for the pump kick. Andrade then goes for the hammerlock. But then Sammy tries to go for the GTH, but then Andrade escapes. Both wrestlers at this point show off. Then Andrade extends his hand, but then Sammy flips him off. We get a boot by Andrade, but then Sammy catches him. Catches the boot, I should say. We get a side headlock by Sammy. Andrade goes for the shoulder tackle, and then he goes for a couple of chops. Then he sends Sammy into the corner. Sammy then goes for a corkscrew dropkick and sends Andrade to the outside. Andrade then comes back and runs into a Spanish fly by Sammy. And then we get a cover and an immediate kick out by Andrade. Both are headed to the top. Andrade then wants to suplex Sammy. But then after that, both exchange shots. We get a kick by Sammy. Sammy is on the apron. He tries to go for a springboard cutter, but then Andrade pushes Sammy to the outside, landing on the guardrail. Once we're back from commercial break, during the break, I should say, Andrade hit a snap suplex on Sammy onto the ramp, which looked painful. But once we're back from break, Sammy goes for a roll-up, but we get a near fall. Then Andrade goes for a right hand. Then he goes for a backdrop, but then Sammy counters into a clothesline. Then Sammy hits a knee strike after that. Sammy then picks up Andrade, but then he sends Sammy into the corner. Then Andrade lands a knee onto the turnbuckle when Sammy escapes. Andrade is on the outside. Sammy then hits the tornado outside on Andrade. Sammy then goes to the top. Sammy then tries to go for a 450 splash, but then misses. We get a running boot by Andrade. Then we get a tornado DDT by Andrade onto the apron on Sammy Guevara. Then Andrade goes to the top, and then Sammy goes for the Insigiri. Then Sammy goes to the top. Sammy then hits the Spanish fly on Andrade off the top. Then after that, we get a cover by Sammy and a near fall. Both then exchange slaps, rights by both. Both get up on their feet. At this point, Andrade exposes the turnbuckle pad. Matt Hardy, throughout this entirety of the match, and as well Isaiah Cassidy, are on the outside. Andrade then goes for a hip toss onto the turnbuckle on Sammy G. Then Andrade tries to go for the running knee into the corner, but then Sammy escapes. Then Sammy picks up Andrade, tries to go for the GTH, but then Andrade escapes. Andrade gets up to his feet. We got a roll up by Andrade and has his foot onto the rope. But then it looked like Matt Hardy pushes Andrade's foot off, so we'll have to wait what happens there. We get a near fall. Andrade goes for a kick. Then we get a chop by Andrade. Sammy goes for a super kick. He goes to the top, but then Andrade goes for an elbow strike. Andrade goes to the top. He wants to go for El Idolo, but then Sammy goes to the apron. Then Sammy goes, he hits a kick on Andrade and lands Andrade face first onto the exposed turnbuckle. We get a springboard cutter by Sammy. We get a cover, and Sammy retains the TNT Championship and a fantastic opener for Rampage. Overall, I definitely enjoyed this whole match. Sammy Guevara, as always, looks great. Andrade, I'm glad that they're finally utilizing Andrade for something major. Yes, the TNT Championship is a major championship, but again, before this, really Andrade wasn't really doing anything, in my opinion. I'm glad that they're finally utilizing Andrade in this case. But then after the match, Matt Hardy attacks Sammy Guevara, but then Darby Allin runs in for the save. Isaiah Cassidy's in the ring, but then Sting is behind him. Darby goes to the top and he hits the coffin drop on Isaiah Cassidy, and that's that. So we're definitely at Revolution looking at a triple threat match with Sammy Guevara defending the title against both Darby Allin and Andrade. QT Marshall then comes out. He cuts a promo talking about the disrespect from the fans and the co-workers. He points at the commentators, especially Taz, and he talks about, Hook and all that stuff. He runs down verbally Hook. And then we get a bunch of "We want Hook" chants. And then he calls out Hook. Hook finally comes out. And then a random student of QT Marshall's then runs in to attack Hook. But then Hook takes them all out. He suplexes all these students. And then he applies the red rum. And then Hook leaves. That is flat out awesome. Hook is going to be a megastar. Mark my words. This guy is going to be a big deal in AEW, in my view of things, man. Hook is just awesome. And that is I feel like Hook is going to be like the true big star that AEW really makes. I genuinely believe that. And I think in the future he's going to be a main eventer because of the fact that this guy is just so damn over. We get Dan Lambert backstage. He asks Tony Khan if Scorpio Sky can get a TNT Championship title shot, but then he states that Tony Khan granted him a qualifying match for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Scorpio Sky then goes off, just talking about how he won the ladder match and all that stuff. And Dan Lambert saying, "Don't worry, I will get you your TNT Championship title shot." We get Wardlow versus Nick Comoroto. This match was actually, of course, Nick Comoroto and Wardlow are two big guys. But, I didn't expect this match to go as long as it did. Granted, this wasn't really a really long match, but I expected this match to be a little bit shorter, but that wasn't the case. Both lock up. Comoroto goes for a gut-wrench suplex, but then Wardlow immediately gets up. We get a couple of belly-to-belly suplexes by Wardlow. Comoroto then picks up Wardlow, but then escapes. Then Wardlow goes for a belly-to-belly suplex on Comoroto, landing Nick onto the outside. Once we're in commercial break, Wardlow is in control, but then Nick fights back. Nick is in control, but once we're back from break, both exchange shots. Nick then runs into a boot. Wardlow then goes to the top, but then Nick picks Wardlow up one-handed. Yes, he picks Wardlow up one-handed, but then Wardlow escapes, and he hits the chokeslam on Nick Comoroto. Then after that, Nick is in control. My bad. Messed up my notes right there. Wardlow escapes. He hits the powerbomb, and then he goes for the powerbomb symphony. He hits that powerbomb 4 times. We get a cover, and Wardlow wins the match. Then Sean Spears cuts a promo, and he's bickering at Wardlow to slow down with the powerbombs. And then Aaron Solo comes in with a crossbody, but then gets caught by Wardlow. But then out of nowhere, Spears just immediately takes the spotlight, and he hits him with the chair. Spears then grabs the mic and says the powerbomb symphony is not getting over. Classic heel move right there. And he told him that months ago, and he just didn't listen to him. And he just continually just tells him to, bro, you're not doing the right thing, even though he is. Wardlow is definitely, I do see him winning the ladder match and definitely winning the TNT Championship, in my opinion. I think it makes perfect sense. And I think that is the catalyst of him splitting off from the Pinnacle. I think it's best for Wardlow to go off on his own because of the fact that he just got so over. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that. We get a Serena Deeb 5-minute rookie challenge versus Kayla Sparks. Serena chokes her opponent with the robe. We get an uppercut by Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb is in control. She takes her opponent to the top rope, applies a strange submission on the top, which looked weird. I didn't know what that was. She takes the knee around the turnbuckle. Then Deeb grabs the arm of Kayla Sparks, and then she targets the arm, applies the Serenity Lock, and then Serena Deeb wins the 5-minute rookie challenge again. I love what they're doing with Serena Deeb. I'm definitely invested to see what they're going to do next with her. I genuinely believe she's definitely going to be in the running for a TBS championship title run. Whoever that may be, it's going to have to be a babyface if, she's going to have to take the title away from her. Or what they can do is they can immediately put her in the main event scene. That's just what I see, but we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, I'm really liking what they're doing with Serena Deeb, and they're definitely building up as this, crazy, wrestling machine. Of course, she is the woman of 1,000 holds. So, I mean, Serena Deeb is just amazing at what she does. And I definitely do see Serena Deeb being in the title picture. Britt Baker I shouldn't say Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa, but Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa contract signing for their match at Revolution. Of course, this is one of the matches that I'm definitely excited to see. I constantly mention on all of my AEW reviews that Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa had an awesome ass match last year. Of course, that was the unsanctioned match. And one thing I will say about this feud, as much as I'm excited for this feud with Thunder Rosa, or I should say this match, as much as I'm excited for this match between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, one problem I'm having is that AEW is just not putting as much emphasis in this feud. I mean, we're only a week away from Revolution, and really this is like the true promo that we got. Now, granted, this segment was awesome, but I'm gonna have to be honest. I mean, I want more than just this, and we really have all we've gotten when it comes to this feud was just flat out video packages. The whole thing with Mercedes Martinez, and really that's it. I think they need to put more emphasis and make this match a bigger deal, in my opinion, because this match, I always viewed Thunder Rosa as being the woman to take the belt off of Britt Baker. That's just me. But Rosa asks Britt Baker to let's give the people what they want. Then she calls her a cheating ass perra, which is funny. You gotta love Thunder Rosa when she just goes off. It's just hilarious. Britt Baker then says they will talk. She says that, the only time she is relevant is when she mentions Britt Baker. She asks Thunder Rosa who made the Lights Out match. It says they made history and she won. So why was everybody talking about her? She got the t-shirt and the action figure, and that's when she started to become very bitter. She says that she will never be her. She will never be on her level, and says jealousy is hatred built on insecurities. She doesn't hate her. She loves her. She loves everything that she has, but Thunder Rosa hates herself because she will never be Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Fantastic promo by Britt Baker. I'm loving Britt Baker. I'm loving her work. I will say, though, her title run has kind of felt a little bit short. I mean, we haven't really seen her on television. All we have really seen her in is backstage segments, and I do not like that. But overall, man, Britt Baker knows how to cut a damn good promo, and I love her. I love her heel character. I think she's doing really well. And then after that, Thunder Rosa goes after Britt Baker. Then Hope Raw breaks loose. Mercedes Martinez comes in for the save. And that was the contract signing. Overall thoughts, I'm really excited for this match. But one thing I have to state is really AEW didn't really have enough build for this particular matchup. And I wish they did, because this match definitely, has the potential on definitely stealing the show. I mean, what we have seen with the Lights Out match, I mean, we'll definitely see crazy stuff in this match at Revolution, but that is just me. I feel like AEW needs to put more, emphasis and more build for this match between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa for the women's title. We got the main event, Orange Cassidy versus Anthony Bowens in a qualifying match for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Overall, this was a really good match. Of course, Max Caster cuts his typical Max Caster promo on Orange Cassidy. And then Orange is going to rap at Max Caster before he wrestles Anthony Bowens. And he says, yo, yo. Then he puts his hands in his pockets and does those amazing kicks on Max Caster. Yuta then sweeps Caster outside the ring. We get a shotgun drop kick by Cassidy. And then Cassidy grabs the microphone and says, word to your mother. That was funny as hell. We get a suicide dive by Cassidy. Cassidy then tries to go for the Hurricane run-up, but then Bowens takes him down. We get a cover by Bowens and a near fall. We go to commercial break. Bowens is in control. Once we're back from break, Bowens sends Cassidy into the turnbuckle. Then Cassidy throws Bowens face first to the turnbuckle. He tries to go for the swinging DDT, but then Bowens counters. We get a couple of combination strikes by Anthony Bowens. Then we get a stunt dog millionaire by Orange Cassidy. Then after that, we get a running boot by Cassidy. Bowens then catches Cassidy and plants him to the mat. We get a running knee by Anthony Bowens. Then we get a cover and a near fall. He picks up Cassidy, but then Cassidy counters into the Michinoku driver. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a right hand by Bowens when Cassidy is on the apron. Bowens then tries to go for the DDT, but then Cassidy tries to escape and fight back. Then we get a knee by Bowens. Cassidy then takes Bowens to the outside. We get a senton on the outside by Cassidy. He takes Bowens to the ring. Cassidy then goes to the top. We get a diving DDT by Cassidy. Then he goes for the second DDT. We get a cover and a near fall. Cassidy then throws the boombox, but the referee sees it. Then we get a roll-up by Bowens and a near fall. Bowens then hits a clothesline on Orange Cassidy after that. He plants him to the mat again, but then we get a cover by Bowens and a near fall. Cassidy then has the chain on the outside. But then Danhausen comes in out of nowhere. He curses Max Caster. Got it. I love Danhausen. I don't care what anybody says. I love Danhausen. He curses Caster. We get an orange punch by Cassidy on Caster. And then he goes back in the ring and goes for the orange punch on Bowens. We get a cover. Orange Cassidy wins the match, and he officially qualifies for the Face of the Revolution ladder match, and the show ends. Overall thoughts, I really enjoyed this match. This match was pretty fun. I loved the inclusion of Danhausen. Orange Cassidy, trying to rap before the match started was hilarious. When he said "word to your mother," that was another funny thing, man. Orange Cassidy always entertains me every week on AEW TV, on both Rampage and Dynamite. It's just something about Orange Cassidy that makes him just so unique. And that's what I really enjoy about Orange Cassidy. I mean, this guy I love his character, a character that just doesn't care. That's basically Orange Cassidy's, whole character. But, that's that. Orange Cassidy qualifies for the ladder match. Now we got Will Hobbs, or I should say Powerhouse Hobbs, Keith Lee, and Wardlow, and Ricky Starks in the match. Now we got Orange Cassidy. All hell is going to be breaking loose at Revolution. But yeah, overall thoughts on Rampage is I definitely thought Rampage was a really good show. I thoroughly enjoyed what I saw on this show. It definitely blew SmackDown out of the water, in my opinion. Really, the only important thing on SmackDown was the contract signing between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. That was it. Nothing else on the show mattered. And AEW Rampage definitely, in my view, blew SmackDown creatively out of the park. Now, granted, ratings-wise, SmackDown is just going to annihilate Rampage. But at the same time, creatively, Rampage is just the better show, in my opinion. But yeah, that was my SmackDown and Rampage review from February 25th, 2022. Overall, both shows, again, Rampage was just the better show. That's just my view. But yeah, that was my SmackDown and Rampage reviews. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube. And this is the Broken Havoc podcast Broken Havoc from the Broken Havoc podcast, I should say. Signing out.